Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Can't thank you enough for the support. You're all gems in my book. You can become a member of the channel, go a step further to support the channel. The link is in the description. Just click it. Costs a coffee a month, and it really does help the channel out. It allows us to spend a bit of time articulating our thoughts, and we're going to have to articulate big style, 85 points to 79 in the 6-point loss to fierce arch enemies Collingwood Football Club. And I was that upset about it. I've had to write notes. So I don't often write notes because otherwise I'll go on a tangent and I'll get more angry. And honestly, as I get older and I get stressed and frustrated, it feels like a hangover. So I can't do that. But let's get the overview first. It was really a game that was just poorly executed from the off. Some questionable decisions at the selection table. And it felt like the Blues have become the hunted. Voss came out with some big fiery words last week, which really set the expectation that this side is going for the big one. It's not going to make the numbers up. And these are the games that you've got to put away, quite simply. And I think Collingwood flattered us in the fourth quarter because they missed so many easy shots at goal towards the end there that result could have been totally out of proportion. The positive is the Blues stayed in it, but they were hemorrhaged inside their own D50, and that leads us on to probably our first point of where this game was lost and what does worry me, and that's the overuse of the football. And then the predictability of when that overuse is employed. And a great myriad here is if you watch Collingwood, who Carlton had that plan with that defensive half to really try and curb them. That is a big part of our game plan, our forward pressure, one of the top sides in forward half turnovers. They're always kicking to one-on-ones. And the reason is because they either set up a big outlet ball. So you'll see that Mason Cox, Darcy Cameron quite often on the wing as their outlet. But then that naturally creates the one-on-ones. Elite running, really playing that extra in the back half of the ground. They like to, when they're defensive, play that one extra who's like the outlet ball. And that's been a common case against Carlton. Adelaide did it very well. GWS did it until we curbed that. And that short, sharp kick you see out of the defensive half, that separates us. And that curtails really will come onto the inside 50 entries, but particularly in transition and turnover that everyone talks about, why we're so bad at it. That's part of the problem as well. You see it when we're just defending a kicking, where them natural problems occur, that once you get a kick out, particularly a short one, it's game over. The Blues are really reliant on trying to get you to kick out wide. And the Pies set up for that. You saw it. They had that deep exit kick that then was brought to ground. And then it allowed them to play their short, sharp handballs at the fall of the ball. And again, with pace, with running, with pace on the ball particularly, you get out of Carlton's first layer of defence, you're naturally creating one-on-ones out the back because a good portion of our defence is there. And Carlton spent the entire game, apart from passages in the second, just avoiding overlap run. And a big system of Voss's is it requires running in numbers, defending in numbers, and Collingwood are the masters of this. You saw they hunted in packs, they defended in packs, they attacked in packs, and created overloads all around the ground, which then creates them easy short options and the short kicks. And that's from Carlton's overloose of the ball. They lose the initiative. You saw it particularly in the fourth, particularly around stoppage and clearance. Them extra handballs slow the game down to an extent that the transition game is non-existent when we do get the ball in natural flow. There was a few times Carlton created that intercept, and it's so slow and laconic that everyone's back. Where when you watch Collingwood, they see that opportunity. Carlton are attacking us. Take that risky option, take that risky kick. And Carlton's execution of them industrious and endeavourous kicks are non-existent at times. And you get found out against these sides. Collingwood are a very good side. They don't hand out flags in this country. And all because of their form, people downplay them. They're still a very good fucking football side. And we've seen this 2 weeks now. Geelong and Collingwood, good football sides with good IQ and willing to take the game on. if it's not at the races, it's there. Let's talk about stoppage. It was fitting that the winning goal was kicked from a stoppage. Carlton's are really lost between round 0 and 4 to now. How do we set up around stoppage? The first 4 rounds, when everyone was crying that Carlton are having that stoppage and clearance dominance, it was very defensive, like how Collingwood set up. They defend that. They're looking for repeat stoppages. They're looking for clean ball. And if they can't get clean ball, they're happy to reset. Carlton have gone to a more offensive situation where you've only got one player out the back, George Hewitt, and the intention is that short handball back to get a runner. When that short handball's missed, which we saw a couple of times, George Hewitt missed the open runner. Collingwood closed that off, and it leaves George Hewitt with 2 options: a dump kick or trying to take the game on himself. And these are probably the 2 weakest aspects of George Hewitt's game. And this is down to coaching here. What McRae did is he saw that handball get used in the second quarter. He changed it up. And he actually made Nick Dacos play the George Hewitt role and hide him out the back of the stoppage and go, right, we're going to take this short option away. If we wrestle it back, go, go, go. And it was fitting that that 4th goal was a textbook version of that play. You saw Nick Dacos stream through. The Blues were very goal side. No defence of our goal side. All the defence was on the attacking side to try and stop that handball. We reacted. We didn't adjust. Nick Dacos streams through and boots the goal to seal the game. And that is where Carlton have got to find something in game. In game at the moment, it feels like we're looking for perfection. When perfection doesn't happen, the wheels fall off. The plan B isn't that good. And you could argue that's personnel, but you ain't going to get a better stoppage side on there at all. You really aren't. And that leads me to point 3. Carlton's exits down the wing. If you play a lot down the wing, it's the safe percentage. But Carlton were very naive in this. They played that one-on-one down the wing. You saw Collingwood. They really set up to defend that wing. Carlton kind of went into that really laconic and thought, you know what? We'll be all right. Our big boys will get the mark. And the problem is that when they did get the mark, there was no one running and backing up that run. But you've got to be quick when you go down that wing. If you go down slow and slow ball movement, all you do is overload the defensive 50. And that creates some really poor instances where you are going to get 3-on-1s and you are relying on bullet-like kicks. And that happens all the time. Carlton went down the wing. They got to the wing. And it felt at times Collingwood were happy to cede that territory so they could defend D50. And it worked a treat for Collingwood. Carlton bought into that game plan. That ball came down the wing, usually with 4 touches too many. They attempted the switch. Then they went back to it. Long bomb. TDK take the mark. Fantastic. Then they pepper it to 45 out. And this is where the problem is. So let's have a look at that because that leads me on to what is killing me at the moment. And what you'll see here is the total difference. So what you're looking at here is Collingwood. So this is how Collingwood genuinely set up their inside 50. So the ball is here and they start in this line. And it's interesting that their entry inside 50 was almost identical to Carlton's. But they start in this deep line here and then players are running into this hot zone. They're running into the hot zone. They're running hard to try and get it somewhere here. Do you know what I mean? Somewhere in here. And they lead, and you see that good forwards make space. They lead to where the ball's presented. When you watch Carlton, this is what you see. You see something like that. They're already set in that lazy position. They're set where they want to be, and they're quite happy to be there. They're quite happy to just sit here and wait for it and just, you know, it's okay. Someone will get it right on us. And you'll find that this is so easy to defend because this is where defense can structure up. And it's that shallow entry. And as you can see, Carlton have got so many people back, so many people in that forward half that eventually what you see is something like this. The ball ends up, this is the ball, it ends up here, it's turned over, and you've got all this space here to play football. If you can kick here, you are past 9 players, and there is just one out. And when you see the 2 pictures, if you're defending this, so easy. It's so easy. to kick goals when your forwards are naturally deeper and one out. And that is something that the Blues are going to have to really go back to basics and find out, because them shallow entries are causing us trouble. The lack of movement in the forward line. How many times did Jamie Elliott start at the goal square and take a mark 45 out, whereas Carlton were kicking to that 45 out with very little movement? And it makes it appear that we're playing behind defenders because there's no movement. You've got to create your movement. Space is created by that movement. And the Blues are almost sat here and going, it's okay, we're big and stronger than them. We'll take the mark. And it's so labour intensive, where you watch Collingwood, they're moving Carlton's defenders around by them leads. And how many times did you see it, particularly when they took a mark 55 out? There was 3, I counted, uncontested marks inside 50, because the leads were coming when the Blues were like, okay, they're having a shot at goal. That's what we do. They were looking to get closer. And that causes so much trouble. So much trouble. That ball movement puts the defence under pressure, because they are literally exposed when it's turned over, because 12 players are forward of centre and they've still got 7 to 4 out the back half of the ground, because they know Carlton aren't going to laterally move, so they don't have to pick up runners. They know that once Carlton are in forward 50, they're probably going to move a metre. And that is a big problem, that Carlton aren't looking for that. And that has existed from round 0, round 1 last year, that movement. And it's changing them angles. And, okay, personnel may come in. The personnel you're asking for is Jack Martin, who does remarkable things. A lot is expected of greatness of the players. And people are picking on Charlie Curnow. What is he meant to do? You should be playing to your forward strengths. We want him to lead out of the goal square. We don't want him to be static. We don't want Harry to have to run 2 metres. They're energetic footballers. You've got to play to their strengths. And then it's really easy to say the second efforts aren't good enough. The second efforts shouldn't have to be, because they all stack up defensively, if not greater in Harry's case, than any other key forward in the league. Because Blues are asking a goal kicker to defend, when every other club is asking them just to simply lead and create space, and the smalls be front and centre. And that's not executed. So when people are saying Carlton can't defend transition, no fucking wonder. When you're turning the ball over 45 from goal, having taken 20 kicks to get it there, so Collingwood have had the luxury of floating 16 players back to overcrowd the back half of the ground. No wonder it's easy. Should be easy. Be easy if we could do that as well, because that's how we've done well. Our elite overlap run has created them turnovers the other way. The difference is other teams are leading really hard and creating them avenues to go 55 out. We're bombing it in. And that's got to change, because that's been a default go-home status since day dot of this football club. And that's an old habit. And old habits die hard. They really do. And then we've got to go to the pressure and intensity. When we're a team that is looking to be a pressure and intensity side, last week we got outclassed. And I can cop last week, because sometimes you're just not good enough. That's okay. That's okay in life. Sometimes you're not good enough. And if you can be honest with yourself and say, I'm not good, good, because that means you can get better. This week we were outworked. The tackle count, lopsided. The Pies just were decimating a ball. The Pies were a lot more akin to what we'd expect the Blues to be. And we look like we're lost in what we want to be at times. When these games get tough, you can see when plan A has been shelved, because it's chaos ball or nothing. And then we start playing cute, attractive, attacking brand of football, trying to be ostentatious. We talked about the stoppages. And before you know it, the wheels fall off, because the Blues aren't a classy outfit. And it's okay. I've come to terms with it. If the players haven't come to terms with it, and Michael Voss hasn't come to terms with it, fuck me. We're never coming to terms with it. It's okay, though. It's okay, because you win games the way you play. You've got to be, that's got to be the standard. Voss won standards. The standards is we're a hard tackling side. We had a 140 pressure at one point, which honestly, like I said, it's like the pressure you have having a poo if you've got dysentery. Not much. Just leaks through. Oh, I mean, you just sneeze and you poo. It's great. You know what I mean? If you're backed up, that's what you want. But it's not good for football. And these executions, the basics are heart. They're pride. They're no more. There was times where you saw Lewis Young spoil. 2 times he did it in the 4th. And then just watches the ball as it meanders there. And Alex Chincotta's come from nowhere and bundled the ball over. It's then pride in them basics, and then pride in that basics in the midfield. And I don't think they were helped out with coaching. I think McRae really outcoached Carlton again. And this seems to be a habit against McRae. He knows Carlton are set in their ways. So if you have a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of maturity in your list, that's why we beat GWS. There probably is that immaturity in the coaching box. Here, there isn't. Right? Here, there isn't. They're all senior veterans, half of Collingwood side. So they can pick Carlton apart. And they're willing to change the game plan. And someone needs to talk. And it feels like unless the stars perform, the wheels fall off. And the Blues got dealt a lesson here. And we'll know if it's a good lesson at the end of the season. And they can fix it. And I have no doubt they're a talented bunch. But we've got to start looking at taking the game on. Someone's got to have that balls. When it's tough, we know it's tough. We feel the pain. We know it's tough. We don't think it's easy. And someone's got to get them inside 50s, help the defense out. It all starts from them entries. Because if it's reliant on no one moving and then us locking the ball in by pressure, only one thing has to go wrong, the kick. And trust me, with these players, that's going to be a high likelihood. You're asking them to execute 1 in a million kicks and 1 in a million marks and then put pressure on and hope it works. Versus play to their strengths. They all can lead. They all can lead. And Matty always 3 goals is case in point. They're fortuitous, hard work, industrious goals. Where Jamie Elliott was waltzing and not having anyone around him. And it's not because he's quicker. It's because he's smarter. He's leading to where the ball is expected. We're kicking to where players are. They're kicking to where players run. And that's the difference. When you separate that, the missed handballs in the middle from the overuse, they're shit handballs because the first option was the best option. And they ignored it. That Sam Walsh play, he streams past George Hewitt and he waits. Doesn't want that option. And he waits. And he waits some more. Before he knows it, 8 Collingwood players have descended on him. And he kicks it. Harry Mackay, God bless him. He had that entry to Durden. It wasn't the right kick. But where was the overlap run? Helping him. You've got to run. Sam Walsh creates that space. And that forward line, there was 4 of them against 2 Collingwood players. And you could see the forwards were there going, it's okay, we've won this if he kicks here. And Walsh mishits the kick and it goes straight to the Collingwood player that's got no one around him. Where's the lead? You've got to help them out. You've got to help them out. There's got to be a desire. And I want to see this week, when we play Melbourne, a team that is as good, if not better, than every facet of the game. We're good. You've got to go out there and you've got to want to fucking die. You've got to want to die. You want to be vomiting at the end. Bryce Gibbs in the fucking milestone game type shit. I am going to run. I am going to lead. I am going to demand that ball. And when the ball isn't delivered the way I want it, where I'm leading, I'm angry. I'm upset. And that is it now. We're talking the margins now are beyond repeatability. Our margins now are executing to the best of our ability. Because at the moment, we're plateauing about 8th. We want to be fucking going harder. And to go harder is a lot harder to go from 18th to 8th than 8th to winning the flag. 6th to winning the flag. Do you know what I mean? That is the hardest milestone. And it means you've got to work twice as hard to get here. All in all, it's a very disappointing performance because it's 3 weeks in a row, well, really the whole season, where we've got by and we've dined out on our hard work and intensity. We need to add that layer, and that layer needs to come fast. And it's okay Voss complaining about the defense. That's helped in offense. Better ball use, quicker ball use. When we play quickly, less time to think, overlap run, it looks good. When we think and we're slow and we're laconic, before you know it, there is gaps all over the field. There is a massive gap all the time when we haven't got the ball between midfield and defence. As soon as the ball is turned over, and teams are exercising that. And the only way to close that is get deeper entries, get the ball further away from there so that midfield line is actually productive. Because at the moment, it's called in purgatory, and it's so easy. All in all, disappointing. I am heartbroken. 5 lessons learned. He's going to be a really good one this week. I love you all to pieces. Stick fat. They're going to need us next week because it's going to be tough. And hopefully this week they get on the training track and they just adjust this because it's adjustable. It's going to take some fucking hard work and intensity though. And we're not afraid of that. I love you all. Peace, love, and light. Pom out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella